Hey, this is Tyler, TJack, Survival Dispatch. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about squirrel poles and squirrel snares, so stick with me. What I'm using today is just 20 gauge brass snare wire. That's important because you don't want to use something that's going to catch and hold a large animal. When you use brass snare wire, if a deer steps in it, they can break it free and it won't be permanent. So buy wire that's specific to it. Kind of give you guys a little bit of a close-up on this. Hopefully we've got a good focus. And this is just a little thing of Stinson, I think is what it's called. Didn't really pay attention to the brand. But a little bit of snare wire right here. When we're making this for a snare pole, people get really complicated for squirrels. You don't need to get super complicated. There's actually, the easier it is, the more you can make, right? So I'll usually pull out about an arm's length. It's probably even more than I need. And I see a lot of people that get really worried about being able to break this wire. So there's an easy way to do this that I learned up in Canada. Just make a slip knot. Make sure I got a good focus on that guy. So it's just a slip knot. Now it's important that this lower part right here is snug. I'm going to tighten up a little bit more. And then you just yank this slip knot out and it pops loose. So all that I'm going to do, get that nice and tight. Grab this on both sides. And you see how it broke. What's happening is it's twisting that wire really fast, which is creating enough friction to break it. Put that away in my pocket. This is a big bundle of the snare wire. You don't need this much, but it works. I make a lot of these, so it's nice to have them. When you're doing this for the great tree squirrel, just for squirrels, right? I haven't got a huge amount because it's not like I've got an engine that's powering my trap that I need to reach a big distance. The other thing too, if you have not a lot of wire, you can make a short amount of wire for the trap, and if the animal can't reach past it, they're not going to bite through it, right? So if you're using string and you catch something and you're not quick about it, they can chew through the string. But if you add string to brass or copper wire, brass wire, if you add string to brass wire, then you can add an engine to your trap or whatever else you're going to do without the animal actually grabbing a hold of it. Now, when it comes to squirrels, like I said earlier, we get really complicated on this. You don't need to. All you need is a very simple overhead knot, right? And then take your loop through it. This is how I used to make lassos when I was like 8. All right? So, right there, we've got a very simple overhead knot and a loop through it. All right? I'm going to show you how to make it collapse on the squirrel, and we'll add it to a squirrel pole, and we'll talk about where we can put those. So, in order to make this collapse when the animal goes through it like this, right, it's collapsing, I'm going to preload it. So basically I can, wrap it around my finger a couple times, get it nice and loaded. Once it's loaded, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to unwind it. This is a little more load than I need. And I'm going to create just a little bit of a dent, right? And then all I do is set this loop behind the dent. These ducks are screaming at me because of my bad dad joke. Oh, what side of the duck has the most feathers? It's outside. There's another bad dad joke for you. All right, so now that I have loaded it and created a dent, as soon as the squirrel goes inside of it and pulls on it, and it goes past that, it should slide and tighten up a little more. Always got to test it. You think it works, and you test it and realize that it doesn't. So, got it on there, and you see how when it triggers, it tightens up. You don't need it to tighten up a lot. You just need it to tighten enough that it startles them, and they start to pull. When they pull, because it's wire, it'll lock and it will stay. All right, so let's reload that one more time. Nice and round. A little bit wider than the squirrel. Get to your dent spot. Let me curl this a little more. Get to your dent spot and you're good. Now again, once it's triggered, tightens. All right, now all we do is put that on stick. Let's talk a little bit about where to place your stick. There aren't any squirrels in this tree. However, if there were, maybe we've got a path. Let's see where my finger is. Maybe we've got a path that goes right up here and leads the squirrel up to a nest or something, right? So if we can introduce a stick right here, then the squirrel is now seeing a way to go up the stick to get their nest faster. Squirrels are lazy, right? They just kind of want to go to the path of least resistance. So looking in the environment, see where a trail might be or how to make their path easier to the location that they constantly go. And this may require you to sit and watch the wildlife for a little while, see what it does, right? Just be in the environment for a little bit, see where it goes. And if you do discover that there's a squirrel trail that goes up a path like this, introduce a stick to it, and maybe even put the stick there for a few days before you add the string to it, or I'm sorry, the snare to it. Or take a stick that they've already been using and add the snare to it. So I'm going to put a couple snares on a stick and I'm going to show you how to line them up, and then I'll show you how to place it. So maybe I've got a stick that they're traveling on a regular basis to a nest. I don't in this situation, but I got to replicate it. So what I'm going to do is add 2, maybe 3 snares total up a stick, and I'm going to tighten it down and show you how to set them up. Made another one, simple overhead knot so that it can slide. Load it so that it's springy. Create a bend spot. Get it flat so it stays on that bend spot. I can get it to hold here. He's a little bigger than what I want him, but kind of helps you guys to see. So now once it goes past that bent spot, if I can reload it. There we go. Now it will stay. Once it goes past it, it'll kind of tighten up a little bit. And throw that on as well. Alright. So if you're the squirrel traveling, right? And I'm gonna, so let's talk about this for a second. A lot of people will offset a trap here and a trap here and a trap there. And what'll end up inevitably happening is the squirrel won't use it anymore because they'll see obstructions from their perspective that they don't want to go around, so they'll just go around your stick. So if you set it up so that as you're traveling like a squirrel, I can do this, when you come up and you see right there, right, you see a tunnel. So if I can go straight through that first one and that second one, and I see my objective, if I make it to this first one and get to the second one of them's gonna grab me. So that's why I want to put maybe 3, put like 1. So as he travels up, makes it through the first one, maybe even makes it to the second one, and then the third one triggers and grabs him, and then you'll hear him squeal, and then they'll hang right here. They'll fall and they'll hang. You got to come over and get him quick, and then you can just reset it. Maybe even move it to another location. I can do this with one hand. There we go. Read that in a minute. You reset it or move it to another location so that you can catch another squirrel. All right, guys. Hopefully that is valuable to you. It's fairly simple. Overhand loop. Give it power by tightening it up. Make a dent. Hook it on the dent so that it springs shut when the squirrel touches it. Make it a little smaller than fist size. My loops are a little bigger than what you want. They'll still work though. And then set them all in a straight line up the squirrel pole in a location where you know they're already traveling. You can't just randomly set this up and expect it to work. Okay, hopefully that's valuable to you, and thank you for watching. Flying squirrels. Oink, oink. See that? It's a duck. You know why it's covered in feathers? It's cover of his butt quack.